Hi everybody, K-Man Pete here again. Today I want to do another video in regards to Chrysler's progression through the 1980s. So to start off, of course, everybody knows about the Plymouth Reliant, the Dodge Aries, and the Chrysler LeBaron. Well, not a lot of people knew about the 4th K model, which was the Dodge 600. That model shared a few different body styles, but today what I want to show you is one car that really relates to those. So back in the 1980s, Lee Iacocca was trying to drive up the sport line up a little bit, and that's what the Dodge 600 was supposed to do, was supposed to be more for the sports enthusiast. Well, even to trump that idea, they decided to come out with one more model that would make the 600 series even bigger. So in thinking and keeping with that idea, the idea came across the board to create something that was going to be a little more like the modern European sports car. Now, sports cars in Europe at the time were deleting as much chrome from their look as possible and trying to give a little more pizzazz. So, for 3 years, from 84 to 86, the Dodge 600 had an additional body type added in, and it was called none other than this car over here. It's a 1986 Dodge 600 ES Turbo Convertible. Now, the nice thing about the 600 ES is that it has some features that stand out against some of the other standard convertible features at the time. The biggest key thing to look for coming down the road is around the windshield. Any other LeBaron or 600 convertible would have had a chrome outline around the windshield. Well, a signature to the ES is the flat black around the windshield. So that's one of the features. One of the other features you'll notice is that the mirrors are the same color as the body itself. So black for black, white for white, whatever the case was. And lastly, one of the things that you can notice from a visual perspective are the cast aluminum rims, which were standard, and we'll talk about those in a second. So to talk about this specific car, in 1986, that was the only year that they looked this way, with sort of a LeBaron front fascia. The Dodge emblem was moved down into the grille, and basically this was the only year that they looked this way. There's only 4,500 of these, plus or minus a few, that were built. This particular car has the original paint and also all the other original equipment. Incidentally, an ES was always loaded. The only option this car doesn't have is a power antenna. So as we move around, see some other features that the car has. You'll notice right away that it does sport the Dodge Daytona rims, and that's a little special for this particular car. What it should have had were the cast aluminum, aluminum coated and just silver coated, I guess, pizza wheels, if you've ever told pizza wheels. Well, this particular car doesn't have those. The story goes that the original owner of the vehicle knew the owner of the dealership that he bought it from. So he made a deal with him. He said, "I'll buy this car if you will put the special edition Daytona CS rims on that match the interior." And the owner of the dealership actually did that. So because these rims were fitted to the car before it was titled for the first time, it's still considered original equipment. And I would imagine that anybody else might have a hard time finding that particular edition. Very, very rare indeed. And I have documentation to prove it. Inside you'll see we've got what would have been the Mark Cross leather interior on the LeBaron series is actually a full working set of leather seats. I'll just open the door so we can see that a little better. Little rip in the driver's seat, but again, this car is all original, so I've left it that way on purpose so that we can see what is and what isn't. Basically, we've got the leather wrapped Daytona steering wheel, which should not have been leather wrapped, but again, in the case of the 600 ES, there it is. So as we move around the car again, we'll see some more things. Basically, one of the other things that I'm very proud of is that the car has its original top. So we'll move in a little closer to have a look at this. Basically, if you can see this, what we've got is the vinyl top in its original state. All the working parts of the mechanism for the top are in great shape. I'm quite proud of that. So that's nice to see. Something you don't see very often. We'll just put this back into place. Alright. So as we move around the car a little more, step back a little bit and have a look at what we've got. Turbo emblem, of course, on the front fender. We missed that on the way around, but we'll catch it on the other side. We've also got, as we move around the back here, you'll notice that I've left the original dealer decal on here, where the car was actually purchased from for the first time, quite rare. You'll also notice the chrome tip that was standard on a Daytona at the time, was also standard on the 600 ES. And then of course the obvious trademark, which is the 600 ES badge itself. So just moving around the other side of the car, basically everything looks about the same as what we saw. Unfortunately, there's pit marks all along it because, again, it has its original paint job. But this is what they look like rolling right off the line. So again, I'm very impressed with it, and I'm very proud to have it. So as a closing statement, I think what we'll do just before we close, I'm going to pop the hood. We'll have a look at the equipment underneath. Standard to the ES Turbo was the 2.2 liter Turbo 1 engine. So we'll just come in and have a look at that. Again, everything as original as can be. The head gasket was replaced just recently, but this car has under 60,000 miles on it, so it's quite good for the shape that it's in. And again, I'm quite proud of it. All right, so we'll just close this. So basically, that's about all that I wanted to say about that, is that the 600 ES lineup was a rare lineup, and there weren't many around to begin with. There's even less now. So have a look on the road anytime you're driving around. Look for the key features of a Dodge 600 ES Turbo. We'll just go back, take a look at it again from an angle. And there you have it, folks. So that's just another video from K-Man Pete. Stay tuned. We'll have more to follow.